All right, we are back for another episode. Welcome back to the live show. Welcome back to the live show. You know what time it is. It is your boy Genesis. It is currently 11:16 p.m. And of course, today's date is the 31st of July 2025. Welcome back to the Genesis show. Yes, I am back with another episode. Superman. I am back. I am back with another episode. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden is back. I tell you that much. Without Jill this time. Joe Biden is back. And of course, Kamala Harris, as we all know, she's now running for the governor position in California. So maybe 2028, she's coming back to be the first female president of the United States. Okay. As we all know, she was the first female vice president of the United States. All right. So maybe she might, who knows? She might be the first female president of the United States. Anything is possible in the United States, I tell you that much. Okay. All right. Okay. Today, the commander in chief, the 45th, now the 47th president of the United States, actually had a fitness briefing in the Oval Office. Well, in the White House, not in the Oval Office. Okay. With JFK. Okay. I take that back. My cup is overflowing. Okay. With RFK Jr. and Triple H and the rest of them. Okay. So the commander in chief, the 45th, now the 47th president of the United States, with RFK. Okay. RFK Jr. with Triple H and some other fit people or people that actually love the idea of working out and staying healthy in the White House. And it's about time that Americans get healthy. Okay. It's about time Americans get healthy. Because remember, RFK Jr.'s um, uncle used to be big when it comes to fitness for young Americans, actually, all Americans. So that is going to be the next move for the commander in chief. But before we check that out, we're going to check out this right here. Hannity. Here we go. Don't forget, don't forget, do not forget, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, it does not matter. The most important thing is you love the United States, you are American, you support the United States. Stay united, ladies and gentlemen. It's not the divided state of America. It is the United State of America, okay? Whether you're Republican or Democrat, does not matter, all right? It is country before party. God is the greatest. America is the greatest nation on the face of the earth. God made it so. Here we go. Enjoy the Genesis show.
We begin tonight, though, with a smoking gun. This has been the product of 7 to 8 years of coverage on this program, and that is the classified annex from the Durham report is classified no more. The newly revealed evidence might be more explosive than anything we have seen to date. Senator Grassley seems to think so. As a reminder, Special Counsel John Durham, he was tasked under Trump's first term to investigate the sketchy origins of the Russia hoax, but for whatever reason, the material I am about to show you was designated as classified, not revealed to the public until now. It can get confusing. We're going to go slow. We're going to explain it in detail. We begin with a truly stunning email. It's from July 2016. That was the month no reasonable prosecutor would prosecute, James Comey said, you might recall. Anyway, July 2016, according to the documents declassified by Senator Chuck Grassley, a top Soros-backed Clinton ally, his name, Leonard Bernardo, wrote the following, quote, HRC, that'd be Hillary Rodham Clinton, approved Julia's idea about Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections. That should distract people from her own missing email, especially if the affair goes to the Olympic level. Let me read that again. HRC, Hillary Rodham Clinton, approved the idea about Trump and Russian hackers. Great idea, right? Emails continue. In the absence of direct evidence, CrowdStrike and ThreatConnect, which are DNC-linked tech firms, will supply the media, and they're all too willing to take it. This was on July 27, 2016, just 4 days before the FBI decided to open its investigation into so-called Trump and Russia. Operation Crossfire Hurricane, it later became known. Now, is this an insane coincidence? Well, we report, you decide. And it gets so much worse. A prior email on July 25, 2016, from that same Clinton ally stated the following, quote, Julie says it will be a long-term affair to demonize Putin and Trump. Now it is good for a post-convention bounce. Later, the FBI will put more oil into that fire. And then to make matters even worse, according to reports, the Julie, who we just mentioned, was a longtime national security advisor who served under Obama. Now, the purported author of that email denies all wrongdoing. But are you connecting the dots? Based on these emails, declassified today, Hillary Rodham Clinton approved the Russia hoax against Donald Trump as a political smear and a campaign. That was seemingly coordinated between the Clinton campaign, the White House, and that would be Obama's White House, and Comey's FBI and Obama's CIA. That would be under John Brennan. Now, the now declassified annex described it this way, quote, it was a two-pronged Democratic Party opposition that is focused on discrediting Trump. It continues, quote, among other things, the Clinton staff, with support from special services, is preparing scandalous revelations of business relations between Trump and the Russian mafia, which never happened. As the New York Post points out, the special services cited in one of the memos referred to intelligence activities of Obama's CIA and FBI. On this program, we refer to that as the deep state, which may have included the work of the Trump dossier author Christopher Steele. Remember, Hillary Clinton bought and paid for dirty Russian disinformation dossier. He's at the bottom of that. It's been totally debunked and full of lies. According to Tulsi Gabbard, her declassification last week, this was before then President Obama ordered John Brennan to come up with the second intelligence assessment in the winter of 2016 because they didn't like the original assessment that was completed by senior career CIA officials, rank and file. And they did not find any evidence at all whatsoever that Donald Trump was colluding with Russia. This takes us into December, well past the election, when they put out their report. But that wasn't good enough. That didn't fit the lying narrative. Brennan was so desperate to get this new report that he published it using material from Hillary's dirty Russian disinformation dossier. Now, despite serious objections from career agents in the CIA, according to all this declassified information, they were all against it. In other words, based on all the new evidence from the Durham Annex and last week's declassifications from Gabbard, the Obama White House used the full force of the FBI and the CIA and, frankly, the White House to conspire with the Clinton campaign, utilizing actual Russian disinformation that they bought, they paid for, was bought by the Clinton campaign, first to stop Trump from winning the election. They thought she'd win. And then when she lost, to smear President Trump, delegitimize the election results, and cast a shadow over Trump's presidency, which, by the way, it did. We covered this story for 3 long years, almost night in and night out. As Senator Chuck Grassley put it, quote, intelligence reports showing the Clinton campaign may have been ginning up the fake Trump-Russia narrative for Clinton's political gain, which was ultimately done through the Steele dossier and other means, and yet the corrupt media mob happily pushed this hoax for years. They celebrated it.
Look, I think that the president does not want to come to terms with the fact that the Russians hacked the election.
Russia hacked the election to tilt it to Mr. Trump. The question is, did Mr. Trump cooperate?
Unlike President Trump, he has no doubt the Russians hacked the election.
Mr. Trump is seeing more and more of the walls closing in on him, which is why he is becoming increasingly desperate.
The presidency is effectively a Russian op, right?
Bruh.
You know, partisan warfare between Republicans and Democrats. This is international warfare against our country.
This is evidence of willingness to commit collusion.
Definitively, Russia hacked the election, and Russia is doing it again now.
Oh.
This is why I said after Election Day, the legacy state-run media mob is officially dead. Peddling lies and conspiracy theories takes away any trust that you might have with the American people. This is a level of corruption and bias I've never seen before. Everyone involved must now be held accountable so it never happens again. Now, tonight, in a lengthy statement, the Soros-backed Clinton ally in those newly released emails that were declassified today by Senator Chuck Grassley, well, their organization denied, quote, all wrongdoing. We've also reached out to Obama, Clinton, Brennan, Clapper, Obama advisor, the one that was mentioned in the annex. We have yet to hear back from anybody. They are welcome on this program if they want to try to explain this.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News page.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, it never gets old. It never gets old. Same folk, same story. Here we go. God fail.
House Democrat Eric Swalwell responded to our segment about his cheesy workout video by challenging me to a bench press contest. I got to say, it's nice to see him pump something besides a Chinese spy. Thank you.
Oh, this dog, bro.
Speaking of Eric, you remember that workout video we showed you the other night, the one that looked about as high impact as hydrotherapy at a nursing home?
Uh-oh.
But because we ragged the video, the poor sap, a.k.a. Fat Dexter, has challenged me to a bench press contest. And the loser, he says, has to quit their job. Yes, Swalwell, the only man to ever be outlifted in the Capitol gym by the groundhog on Maxine Waters' head, says he wants to meet me in the weight room. Now, perhaps it's all a plan to get me in the gym sauna by himself.
Oh.
But Swalwell also claimed that he had never heard of me. Right. Nice try, Eric. Everyone knows me. I'm so famous you can't go to a Cambodian prison without hearing my name.
Ray! 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 Ray!
Well, that brings back memories. But that's why I never leave the house. So, Eric, if you really want anyone to take you seriously, you might try truth instead of being so damn thirsty. It's why you got honeypotted by a Chinese spy. She looked at you and thought, a socially inept dork who hasn't got his weenie wet since a field trip to the water slide in 7th grade. I got this one. I mean, what else could she see in a guy who looks like he buys boner pills from the New Zealand dark web? Maybe it's because you once rode a camel? Shirtless? Wow, I'm looking at that picture and wondering which hairy beast retains more water. Oh, thank you. Little camel humor. And who can forget when he ran for president and electrified an audience of none?
I will be that president because I have lived that struggle and I know how hard you work and what you expect it to add up to. But I will always be real with you. I will be bold without the bowl.
Exactly. What?
Well, that went over about as well as a kissing booth at a funeral. Amazing. But that isn't his only claim to fame. Before he broke bread with a spy, he was breaking wind on live TV. Remember? Roll it, Sven.
The evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election.
It was the fart heard round the world. Or at least in D.C. Hell, over at the Lincoln Memorial, even Abe got up and lit a match. No wonder Fang Fang went back to Beijing. No classified info is worth smelling that. Which gets me back to this weightlifting challenge. I'm just not willing to share a gym with a guy who has uncontrollable flatulence. And I mean, it's bad. In fact, our audio team enhanced the sound of that video he posted of himself working out. I know. And what they discovered may shock you. Here it is with full sound.
I should be working right now. I should be at the Capitol. I should be in a suit. Instead, Republicans sent us home because they would rather stand up for Donald Trump than release the Epstein files and stand up for victims. We could be at Washington, D.C., lowering your healthcare costs, lowering your grocery costs, and restoring your rights. I should be working right now. Instead, I'm pumping iron.
Oh, man. You know, I hope for the sake of others he wiped down the bench afterwards. But this is what the Democrats are left with, just sad, thirsty videos of baby men seeking attention. But this whole party has lost its mind. What's next? Is Cory Booker going to challenge me to a tug of war? Will Rashida Tlaib want me to engage in a beard-growing contest? Will Jerry Nadler threaten me with a turd off? But Swalwell is a reflection of the party itself. It's an unqualified mess. Trump is scoring on pretty much every front right now: the border, the economy, foreign policy. Meanwhile, everyone hates the Dems. The party is less popular than Andrew Cuomo at bingo night. But it's the remaining men of the party who are truly sad. An emasculated pocket of limp dicks in search of some spiritual Viagra. Seriously, what do men do when they no longer know what men do? Theater. They thirst for attention. Then when rightfully mocked, they thirst for more. But underneath the lack of self-awareness is insecurity, because they know they suck and it's never going to get better. The Dems can't debate the issues. They can't point to any wins. They have no leaders. And poor Eric is just a Nero in Nikes flexing for TikTok while his party burns. So thanks for the offer, fart man. But I'm afraid I'm not going to be your ticket out of irrelevance. I'm busy lifting other things: America's spirits, Fox News ratings, and Dana, so she can reach a doorknob. Let's welcome tonight's guest.
There was the naked guy on the subway.
Yeah.
I saw that guy. I was on that train. And in his defense, it was the D train. I take you in this challenge a million times over. This guy is so cringe and so desperate for attention. Even in that clip you just showed, he was like, I am very real. I am so real. He's like the most non-real person ever. I don't know. Yeah, he's engaging in some very juvenile stuff. I used to be a big bencher, Greg. I once benched 365 pounds.
Really?
Yeah. I'm kind of guessing, but she had to be at least 300. I mean, it was, I had a pee so bad.
Oh, God. Okay.
So
the show just gets classier and classier every time I'm on it.
No,
I thought I was over fart jokes.
What?
That was a really good intro.
You like the fart jokes?
Yeah, I mean...
If I can make you giggle, Brooke, then my night is made. Do you find that Eric Swalwell is a viral man?
Oh, God. I think what we're really witnessing right now, Greg, is Swalwell and your midlife crisis play out on national television.
I'm past midlife. I'm 60.
You don't look it.
Thank you, Brooke. What are you doing later?
I mean, I'm doing a lot more heavy lifting in depositions than this guy. But yeah, this is political theater. Clearly, a man on the House Intelligence and Judiciary Committee, a former presidential candidate, is now being advised to be a social media influencer on TikTok, because that is how you reach your audience. And these cringeworthy videos are coming up. And the day that your jokes, Greg, start influencing American political history, okay, is the day that we all need to be concerned with.
I thought you were going to say be happy about. We should be happy about it. Yes, very happy. Thank you so much, Brooke. Get her off the show. Andrew, there's something going on with men in the Democrat Party, and my theory is they have kind of aped the feminist beta male character where they approve of everything woke, and now that thing collapsed, they don't know what was behind there. They're like lost that original sense of who they are. So now they don't know what they are.
Yeah, there's no sense of self. I mean, there's definitely no super ego. It's just the id driving the bus right now, and that id happens to be a garbage pail kid known as Eric Swalwell.
Yeah.
You know, he's like a little girl in a pink dress pushing a hot dog through a donut telling me he's a chef.
Yeah.
I've seen that guy. That's Swalwell. You know, I don't know where that came from.
I don't know.
The funniest thing about this story is the fact that it's such a win and a success for you. This is a PR success for you, not him. A lot of people might say, like, oh, stop giving him the attention. It's like, no, this is only helping you out. And I'll tell you why. Well, two things, actually. I ran the numbers on this. First of all, you figure Swalwell is about 225, right? So he's benching 135, 60% of his body weight. Let's apply 60% of his body weight. I'm assuming you're maybe 160-ish, right?
Yeah,
you don't
160.
you don't need to say.
Yeah,
you don't need to
160.
say. Okay, got it, 160. So you need to bench 95 pounds in order to meet his 135. You're good there. The reason I know you're good is that because of all of this going on, there's been some old pictures popping up on the internet of you.
That's right.
And we were having dinner the other night, me, my 4 kids, the wife, and those pictures were being passed around the table. Weird as it is. I think my wife still has the computer open looking at it, which got me a little frustrated. And they saw the pictures, right? So I'm flying out here to come onto the show, and my kids go to me, where are you going? Dad, going to go on Gutfeld. They go, you're going out to see the bodybuilder?
Yeah.
Have you all seen these pictures of him?
Well,
oh, this guy is ripped. He's got bigger forearms than when I went to Comic-Con.
Yeah, you know, those pictures were taken when I was working in Germany. A lot of art films, you know. I wouldn't say I was a bodybuilder. I mean, I was moving a lot of bodies, but I was building them into a pyramid.
If I had my wallet with me, I'd show you guys the pictures he's talking about.
Emily, what say you?
My pictures of you are up on my bedroom wall, obviously.
Oh, well, thank you.
Large size. Guys, this to me, it shows what happens when all of these Democrat
Emily.
leaders,
Oh, baby.
you know, elected officials
Emily.
sort of run amok, they run unfettered. Because you know how when you operate in the real life, it's social culture that checks you. You know, you can't shout something in someone's face without having there be accountability. But the reality is what we're seeing, that all of these guys acting out in such theatrical ways is because they truly have no idea what it's like in the real world. Everything is resorted to these theater, these antics. They're serving followers, not constituents. They are Instagram politicians, and really they should be legislating. There has been such a disconnect now between what the purpose of their job is and what fame brings them, without the reality check of, actually, Swalwell, you're just a dork. Actually, Swalwell, you haven't done anything meaningful. Actually, you are a blight. You are a pimple on America's ass. And for him to say to everyone that he hasn't heard of you and show us what he benches, which is woefully inadequate, and think we will somehow be galvanized by that, is such a joke. The only joke that is bigger than that is Eric Swalwell himself.
There you go. All right.
We're on Team Greg.
I think you should see a gastroenterologist. That's my advice. You know, I'm here to help. You know, I can get you some names.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
I got to give it to Emily, man. I got to give it to Emily. Got to give it to Emily, man. All right, Jesse. Here we go.
Donald Trump's building a big, beautiful ballroom in the White House for big, beautiful parties where the country can host foreign leaders, musicians, and the American people.
If the president of China or France or UK or Ursula comes to town, you give them a big state dinner. We don't have a room like that. At the White House, they have to use a tent. And if it's raining, it's soaking wet, soggy. The area is a very low area. All the water rushes to it. And it's a disaster.
Who wants to party with your wife while she's wearing high heels in a hot, soggy tent? Chuck does.
Some breaking news. Just now, the White House announced construction of a $200 million White House ballroom that will begin in September. A $200 million ballroom. Where'd this money come from? Did Congress appropriate it? I don't think so.
Why would Senator Schumer?
Oh, wait. I thought the Federal Reserve was renovating their buildings for billions of dollars. I mean, that sounds more than a $200 million ballroom to host foreign leaders, think that's necessary.
Schumer won his beautiful wife's heels sloshing around the muddy White House lawn. And since when has Schumer cared how much anything costs? He didn't even want to doge the $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala.
Uh-oh.
And the guy didn't even do his homework.
President Trump and other donors have generously committed to donating the funds necessary to build this approximately $200 million structure.
When AOC kicks Schumer out of office, she's going to be the belle of the ballroom. We know she likes to dress up and go to glamorous events and borrow $3,000 dresses, get caught and have to pay it back. RFK Jr. says the Kennedys would have loved a big, beautiful ballroom.
I've been coming to this building for 65 years, and I have to say that it's never looked better. It's been transformed. My uncle, my aunt, Jackie, who were deeply committed to design, to beauty, and who understood that it's important to have our public buildings be beautiful because it inspires us, the releasing through freedoms of the creativity of the human spirit. And this building, of all buildings, should look beautiful. And under your stewardship, it looks extraordinary today.
A few years ago, I had dinner at the White House with President Trump, and he pointed to a picture on the wall and said, "Jesse, that's a Monet. It's $20 million. Jackie O donated it, and when I leave, I'm thinking of taking it home." And I said, "Mr. President, I don't think that's a good idea." And he said, "Why not? Crooked took the silverware." JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon's been at the White House a lot recently. He used to be an enemy, and now he's a frenemy.
We started tariffs, we didn't know what they're going to be, and now we kind of know, and they're more moderate and thoughtful and more carefully done, and hopefully they'll help some companies export. Maybe some people move manufacturing back here. So, so far, so good.
So far, so good is right. Last month, because of tariffs, we balanced the budget for the first time in a decade. And now the press wants to know what took so long.
Why didn't you invoke this law in your first term? You could have taken in billions upon billions of dollars in your first term, but you waited until your second term.
Yeah, because in my first term, I was fighting lunatics like you who were trying to do things incorrectly and inappropriately to a president that was duly elected.
The press found out they're getting tariff stimmies, and they want more forever trade wars. But the trade wars are ending, and so are the real ones.
You gotta give it to this guy, man.
The president has now ended conflicts between Thailand and Cambodia, Israel and Iran, Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, India and Pakistan, Serbia and Kosovo, and Egypt and Ethiopia. This means President Trump has brokered, on average, about one peace deal or ceasefire per month during his 6 months in office. It's well past time that President Trump was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize.
Even Chris Cuomo's admitting he's been wrong about everything.
I've been wrong. I've been wrong about political issues. I've been wrong about people. I've been wrong about myself. I've been wrong about my responsibilities. I've been wrong about my opinions, my tastes, my choices. I've been wrong.
This must be driving the big guy crazy. The Senate Foreign Affairs Chairman, the statesman, Joseph Biden, kept telling other countries, don't, and they did. But when Trump says don't, they don't. The auto pen's still haunting the Democrats. He's so scary that he knocked Pocahontas off her feet.
Senators voting in the affirmative: Baldwin, Blunt Rochester, Durbin, Heinrich, Hirono.
Get her up.
This is sitting Indian style while Comer plays Duck, Duck, Goose with Biden aides, investigating how they cooked up the cover-up.
President Biden won the 24 election, sir.
Who is the leader of the Democratic Party?
Would you pay for the leader of the campaign?
Mike Donilon says he knew Joe for 40 years, but never met AutoPen. Sure. Meanwhile, Joe's post-presidency is so sad, Johnny's more famous. Biden just hangs around Delaware. Sometimes he goes to the mall, and he only brings one assistant. I have as many assistants as Biden. And when he travels, he flies commercial. Biden went from Amtrak Joe to American Airlines Joe. Do you know how crazy it is that the president is flying commercial? Could you imagine taking your seat and you're sitting next to a guy asking for more peanuts, and it's Joe Biden?
Oh,
Maybe
man.
the only person he's traveling with is his ghostwriter, because this guy, whoever he is, has a lot of work to do. Because the president has to remember to write a memoir. But Biden's ghostwriter has some competition. Binder's book drops in October, but not before this one.
Everyone thinks you've been kicking back, drinking margaritas on the beach. But really, you've been hard at work writing a book, meeting with leaders, thinking about the future of our country. Who said that?
Kamala's not running for California governor. She'll be making appearances at your local Barnes & Noble.
The shortest presidential campaign in modern history. It was intense, high stakes, and deeply personal for me and for so many of you. Since leaving office, I've spent a lot of time reflecting on those days, talking with my team, my family, my friends, and pulling my thoughts together. In essence, writing a journal that is this book, 107 Days.
Trump made Hillary a bestseller, and now Harris. Her advance was so small, her team didn't even leak it. And if she wants it to sell so she can live off the royalties, she should tell the truth about Joe, how the cocaine was really his, and how she slapped Doug in the face when the nanny news leaked. But if she's as talented of a writer as she is a speaker, it's going to sound a lot like drunk Judy Blume. Trump thinks the whole thing's hilarious.
What do you see in her political future, sir?
Well, she can't speak. She can't talk. She can't do an interview. I thought it was a very strange campaign that we had. I wouldn't call her a skilled politician. Would you?
She's also coming out with a book. Any plans to buy it?
I don't know. I think I'm going to buy it. I'd love to see it. No.
For once, Democrats agree with Trump. They'd rather have Kamala kicking back, drinking margaritas on the beach than going on word salad book tours.
Would you be supportive if she wanted to run for the Democratic nomination in 2028?
Martha, 2028 is a long way off. And first, we need to focus on the challenges right in front of us here in Congress.
There's one word that comes to mind when Democrats think of Kamala, and it's the L word.
Is she a good candidate? Is she a fresh face anymore? I think it's a problem for the broader Democratic Party because it latches them to the past. Nothing against Kamala Harris, but she is labeled a loser by the party. She lost to Donald Trump and a voice of the past. And I think the more the past haunts Democrats, the more problematic it is for them to move forward into the future.
Democrats haven't nominated a presidential loser since Adlai Stevenson in 1956. Poor Adlai lost in a 41-state landslide. Charlemagne says Kamala should find some new hobbies.
I don't know. I don't know if she should run again, but I definitely would like to see her write a book. I definitely would like to, see her start a podcast and just build a real connection with people, And she is, relatively young. I just don't know what's going to happen in 2028, man. I just think Democrats suck so bad. I don't know.
I'm not sure a Kamala podcast is going to play. Kamala talking more is not the answer. But you better find an answer soon because Comer's about to put Mamala under oath.
I think that's another great thing about Kamala Harris not running for governor. She's going to have more time to come before the House Oversight Committee and testify about Joe Biden's cognitive decline. So I think the odds of Kamala Harris getting a subpoena are very high.
Well, before she talks to Comer, she's talking to Colbert. Tonight, she'll be on The Late Show. There's so much the two can talk about. What it's like to lose millions of dollars and your job. Johnny hit up the Ed Sullivan Theater for a vibe check. Watch.
When you first found out you were getting tickets to Colbert, who were you hoping the guest was?
Donald Trump.
Al Gore. Jon Stewart.
A huge guest tonight. You excited?
I have no idea who it is.
Kamala Harris.
Get out! Get out!
Kamala! 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 You excited for the guest tonight?
I guess so.
Do you want Kamala to be the Democrat nominee in 2028?
I would like a real primary.
I want to see a primary.
You don't want them to anoint her again?
No, I want a primary.
She's going to announce her book. You going to read it?
Sure.
Sure. That wasn't so enthusiastic.
Okay, yes.
Sure.
I might.
Do you want her to be the nominee in 2028?
I'm not sure.
What if it's Kamala versus Stephen Colbert?
Stephen. Colbert.
Yeah, I would have to vote for Colbert.
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 Colbert. 100%.
Click here.
So there's no way she's going to be the Democrat nominee for the presidential race for 2028. Well, Anders in the chat said he would rather vote for AI than Mamala. You can't make this up, yo.
Liberal media is holding a therapy session to figure out why viewers hate them after Stephen Colbert got canned. Ex-ABC host Terry Moran, who was fired for a severe case of TDS, is now blaming his former network for having anti-Trump bias. How rich? In part, he writes this. ABC News has the same problem so many leading cultural institutions do in America, a lack of viewpoint diversity. And former late-night talk show host Samantha Bee, remember her, has seen the light, saying the decision to cancel Colbert was a no-brainer.
It definitely was hemorrhaging money. I don't think that's, you know, these legacy shows, like, they are hemorrhaging money with no real end to that in sight. People are just not tuning in. So I shocked, not surprised.
The only question Bee seemed to ignore is why people are tuning out. This could be why. So far this year, the not-so-lovely ladies of The View have had 102 liberal guests on the show and 0 conservatives. And they spew nonsense like this.
We just marked last week Trump's 100th day in office.
These moments are not normal. This is not normal.
We are united in going after Trump.
Mock him. That's the kryptonite to malignant narcissists.
You talked about how the skin tone of people who are being rounded up is different, how you're treated.
Yeah.
This is not breaking news, but it is.
It seems to be breaking news
for
to a lot of people.
This is why the Democrat keeps on losing voters, because everything they campaign on is getting Trump. We have to come together to win Trump. What about the American people? What are you going to do for the American people? That's what matters. The American people. Trump is one man. And all y'all talk about is how do we get Trump? What about the American people? What about the people voting for you guys? What are you going to do for them?
Was it nice to see Samantha Bee again, Greg?
She's a lovely, lovely person. Look, I think when people keep saying this is the death knell for late night, I'm going to disagree. It could be freeing for the few that are left to leave the fold. You know, Colbert's firing, it's true. It is about a lack of viewpoint diversity and the financial disaster that it caused. That is a message to the other guys that now you have an argument against doing not just partisan politics, but any politics. You don't have to do it. You could be like Carson or Leno. This is, after all, it's supposed to be fun. You're not supposed to send your viewers home angry, which is, I think, what these shows were doing. I am doing Jimmy Fallon next week.
Yes,
I'm psyched about it because Fallon comes across as a great guy, nice guy. And also me going on his show shows him he's not worried about upsetting his peers. Remember, he got a lot of stick for humanizing Trump when he tousled his hair, but it didn't come from anybody but the people on the left who wanted to teach all entertainers a lesson that if you dare show that Trump is a human, then you're toast. And so it's kind of nice that he's taking this risk. And I know, Harold, you're excited because I'll be on with the Jonas Brothers. They're actual brothers, unlike the Doobie Brothers.
Wait, the Doobie Brothers weren't related? Harold, let's go to you on that.
Can you name all the bands named brothers that weren't related?
Go.
That weren't related.
Yes.
Well,
Can't be the
not
Osmond
everybody.
brothers.
Not all of them were. The Allman brothers were not all related, but they were members of the band that were there. You had the Osmond brothers were all related. You had the Doobie. You said who'd you say? The
Chemical
other
Brothers.
Chemical Brothers. But let me get around to one or two
Not
facts here.
related, but they did like
I
ecstasy.
think
Bee Gees were related. The Gibb brothers. Go ahead,
they
Harold.
were the
Sorry.
Bee Gees. What were they? The Bee Gees.
Well, they weren't called the something brothers, but they were brothers.
Brothers
They were
Gibb.
related.
The brothers
Gibb.
Gibb.
That's
the
how they
and the
started.
brothers Johnson. I think.
Yes.
I think they might have been brothers too. But let's
Strawberry
get
23.
So. This story here, we
Let him
talked
get his
about it a
point
few
across.
times, should
Come on.
not surprise anyone. Greg, I think you nailed it. And I didn't know the Fallon thing. That is a great thing. He's actually a great guy, too. Two, you had a great line in the last thing. You said that Democrats look for the parachute. You know, they're going to get one over the profession, so it doesn't matter. I think Democrats, after staying with your analogy, all of these guys, so many of the people who are being critical of what's happening over the last year, 2 years, particularly the last 6 or 7 months, seems so personal and it gets petty. As opposed to, and it seems asinine, as opposed to offering answers. I think if you're going to have people on your show and you're so confident in your own answer, have someone from the other side on. That to me was the most illuminating thing. No, Jesse's point about the View having 102 guests and not one guest that might differ from them.
Have Laura Loomer on.
You can have people on whom you disagree with and have a reasonable, forceful, robust debate and walk away from it liking them and still disagreeing with them. How do you think I get along with Jesse so well?
It is a business, Kennedy. I
That's
mean,
right,
these
Jesse.
people can't take this so seriously. Sometimes you get let go.
Yes, I know, Jesse. I know this firsthand. But guess what? I'm still here. I work hard, and I have a big smile on my face because the work is rewarding. And you have people like Seth Meyers. We talked about this on Greg's show last night, who said that if his show is canceled, he is going to have a mental health crisis. That says a lot more about him than it does the state of media. And if you haven't seen this coming, then you should probably dig up Miss Cleo and have a conversation with her, because this was about the most obvious thing in the world. It is an outdated model that has not made money for a long, long time. But the people in those few posts feel entitled to be there. And I will say this, because money is the bottom line. Jimmy Fallon must be worth $100 million if he's having you on. That is the only reason, because in any other climate, he would have been terrified for the backlash. But it just goes to show he's got generational money where he can fly the bird and have a great time. And I hope he does, because he is the last person standing in late night, other than you, of course, Sunshine, who actually brings joy and hard work to his job.
Or maybe Lorne Michaels, who still runs that show, could see the writing on the wall and said, book Gutfeld.
Yeah, well, that would be a smart move, wouldn't it? There's a really interesting thing that's been floating around on social media, Johnny Carson being interviewed by Mike Wallace. I don't know if anyone saw it, but it's really interesting. And he talks about why, Mike Wallace is like, why don't you take on the tough topics? And he's like, because that's not what I do. That's not what Jack Benny did. That's not what the greats do. And he said, the minute I do that, I'm going to have to weigh in on everything. And then I'm going to lose half my audience. So the other thing I found very striking is, that just these behemoth institutions in broadcast television, that you have 200 employees on that show. Like, I don't know how many we have about 10. We do an hour show every day of the week and a lot of other segments on other shows. And so working that way is impossible. When I covered the Pope's funeral, I ran into an old friend of mine who worked at CBS. He goes, hey, how many people you guys have here for the Pope's funeral? I was like, well, there's me, there's a booker, there's a producer. How many do you have? 100. What? He said, we have 100 people in Rome to cover this. I was like, well, there you go.
We have so few staff on primetime. When someone gets pregnant and takes maternity, like the show falls apart. It's like every person really counts.
Is that why you're mandating birth control for your staff? Which I think is completely...
Bro.
It's against company policy, but it's about the survival of the show.
Hey, Sean.
I can't lie, man. Fox is actually keeping America sane at this point, because the left, like CNN, MSNBC, The View, NBC, ABC, and the rest of them, okay, they literally just make doom and gloom the order of the day. But with Fox, you still smile, okay? The sky isn't falling down. You know, sense of humor, all right? Keep on living life, all right? Here we go. Uh-oh.
Of course, we're watching in real time as New York is about to go down the tubes with Zohran Mamdani as the leading mayoral candidate. I was there earlier this month. It's not the same city it used to be. That's an understatement. And tonight I'm here in Chicago, a place I've been visiting for years and years. I love this city, but I'm sad to say the same thing is happening here. These cities are crumbling under liberal leadership. Chicago has a huge problem with illegal immigration, but Mayor Brandon Johnson refuses to do anything about it. In fact, he's refusing to let police cooperate with ICE.
Would you consider setting up CPD perimeters around public spaces in Chicago?
Many working people and poor people need government to show up for them. The Trump administration has caused so much consternation and division.
Over.
Look, we are a welcoming city ordinance. Our local police department will not ever cooperate with ICE.
What does that even mean?
It's a shock that it's a 26.
What does that even mean? That guy you just watched, that is the mayor of Chicago, and is saying they would never cooperate with ICE. What does that even mean, bro?
% approval rating, but the good news, it's up from 6% in February. Here to react, former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich. Gov, good to see you tonight. What is the biggest problem that Chicago is facing right now, if you say?
Mayor Johnson and that type of leadership. I mean, he makes Lori Lightfoot, who was a failed mayor, look less bad. Welcome to Chicago, by the way. I hope you brought security with you, because it's a city where crime is up, arrests are down, and we're really one of the highest taxed cities in the nation. And this mayor has spent almost $700 million on illegal immigrants at the expense of the poor neighborhoods on the south and west side of Chicago, the very people the Democratic Party claims they're for.
Well, I mean, look, you just have to look around the city. It is one of the most spectacular cities in the world, I think. I always believe that about Chicago. But right now you have a mayor who is so bad, even the Chicago Tribune lead editorial today basically saying he's trying to come up with other ways to drive businesses out of Chicago. So many have already left. I guess Citadel left, went to Miami. Others are planning to leave because of high taxes. Now they're figuring out ways to add more corporate taxes onto businesses in Chicago. But people say, oh, just let the cities go. Let them collapse on their own weight, because this is what the voters want, Governor.
Well, the voters don't want that. The voters want cities like Chicago and New York to be vibrant, successful, and historic cities like they are. These are cities with great people in them. The problem is the leaders have failed them.
Well, if they get elected by the people, what are the people doing? Is it just that people aren't coming out to vote? It's that the unions are so powerful, they whip the votes?
The unions are very powerful. That's certainly part of it. Voter turnout is low. That's certainly a big part of it. And the social media and the new generation, young kids, well-intentioned, but really don't know how life works. They're coming out and voting for candidates like Mamdani in New York, and our Mayor Johnson here in Chicago. Mayor Johnson, on a personal level, is a nice guy, but he's in over his head, and it's almost clownish incompetence with the way he's running this city.
Just a few weeks ago, there was a large human trafficking operation that resulted in 27 arrests. Mm-hmm. Police were helping in that, but that's also a part of the missing children that we know there are 300,000 missing children from Biden's border crisis. Obviously, many of them have ended up in large American cities such as Chicago.
Right.
They're the collateral damage here.
Right, and they've sought places like Chicago where you have sanctuary cities and mayors like Johnson because they can be safe here. They think they can hide here. But the fact is the mayor is letting down the people who elected him. He's got a responsibility to serve the Chicagoans, the people who elected him, not illegal immigrants who've come here. He's supposed to make us safe and keep our taxes reasonable or low and not spend nearly $1 billion on taxes for people who are not from Chicago.
When you're frustrated about the lack of movement on this left-wing leadership, do you ever consider going to join the Scream Club in Chicago? You've heard about the Scream Club?
I have.
Yeah, we actually will share it with you.
Okay.
Are they mostly liberals who are upset about Trump? I have a feeling that's the case. That's what they're relegated to. Is Kamala Harris, do you think she's actually going to run for president? I have to ask you that before you go.
I can't imagine she'll run for president. No, I don't think so.
Well, you're going to buy her book, right? It's coming out any minute. 107 days, Governor.
I think I'd rather read War and Peace.
Oh.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right. The 5. If you live in Chicago,
Hi,
well,
Greg Gutfeld.
brace yourself, okay? If you live in Chicago, brace yourself, all right? Because your mayor is doing what he's not supposed to be doing. And, really, this is the United States. This is not the divided state, okay? Whether you are a Republican or a Democrat, you are American first. Don't forget that. You are American first. So your parties really doesn't matter, okay? What matters is you are American before you are a Republican or a Democrat. It's America first. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Country before party.
Along with Kennedy, Harold Ford Jr., Jesse Waters, and Martha McCallum, the five. Fresh off his wedding trip to Uganda, Kami Mamdani is back in NYC and trying to clean up his anti-police record.
Fresh off his
in the
wedding.
wake of the horrific Midtown massacre that left four, including an NYPD officer, dead.
I am not defunding the police. I am not running to defund the police. Andrew Cuomo is far more comfortable living his life in the past and then attacking tweets of 2020. Tweets that are clearly out of step with the vision that I have, with the statements that I have put forward. It is, in fact, to allow those officers to respond to the serious crimes that many of them signed up to address, and to do so by ensuring that we ask them to focus on those crimes and we ask mental health professionals to respond to calls of mental health crises.
Today, Mamdani joined a sea of blue, paying their respects to fallen officer Jiddaral Islam during a funeral in the Bronx. But Zoran's convenient pivot can't erase his previous disdain for the police.
Shout out to Michael. Shout out to Michael. Thank you for the super chat. Michael says, have you heard of Flip Chicago Red? Somewhat, yeah, I have, but I mean, Chicago, I don't know if Chicago would ever flip red. Maybe in the next 8 years or maybe 12, but probably 16. But I don't think Chicago would be flipping red pretty soon because it's like, Los Angeles or New York. That's how it is, Illinois is just what it is, okay? Democrat runs Illinois, California, New York. This has been for a long time.
When we talk about defund the NYPD, the entirety of the push is defund the NYPD and refund all of these different social services and things that actually create safety.
The Democratic nominee for New York City mayor has joined Governor Hochul in calling for a nationwide ban on assault rifles, despite having armed security officers guard at his wedding.
Yo, Ellie in the building. Chirac in the building, bro. Ellie in the building. I know people are going to say Eli, okay, but I call him Ellie, okay? So wait. Chirac is in the building. Shout out to my boy, Ellie.
As mayor, I will lead calls to ensure that we pass the legislation necessary beyond New York, such that every New Yorker can rest assured that we need not prepare for the next iteration of this horrific mass shooting.
So he's not even mayor of New York, and he's already making laws for the country. Harold, it's good to have you back at the table.
Glad to be back.
So I think for New Yorkers, they have to ask themselves, who are they electing? The hard left is expecting the pre-candidate communist, and the typical liberal will tell themselves wishfully, no, he's evolved. Can you evolve in the last 4 years since 2021?
I think you can. First, it's good to be back with you. I think you can, but where he falls short, in my estimation, is that when asked those basic pointed questions about wanting to disband and disarm that elite unit, which went into the Rudin building where Blackstone and some of the others in NFL are located, he didn't say, look, I spoke too hastily. I spoke in a moment of pure rage and upset about what had happened during 2020. But we can't disband this unit. It's not just about defunding the police. That unit showed up, and their job is to show up when, unfortunately, you face these kind of crises. And when you live in a city as dynamic, as important, as powerful as New York, we're targets for a lot of things. We're targets for capitalism, we're targets for growth, and we're targets for people who have serious mental problems or who may just be outright criminals or just both. So if I was running against him, you're Andrew Cuomo and Eric Adams, you just simply, not emotionally, but make the case. This is not the young man you want running the city of New York City. This is a young man who has probably some interesting, thoughtful ideas about how to lower price. I don't question his compassion and care for the city, but I do question his ability to manage the city. In the last 72 hours, what happened in New York is something that affected the country and affected us here more. And I think every New Yorker has to step back and say, is this the young man we want running our city during times of good and certainly during times of crisis? And my answer today is no.
Well put. You know, Martha, I still think about his tweet, "Nature is healing," which was directed at the police who were crying in their cars because of all the attacks on the police. And he said, "Nature is healing." But that was just 5 years ago. Come on.
You know, he's only 33 years old. You don't have that deep of a past at the age of 33 to say, well, that was me way back then. This is not ancient history for this individual. And I think that Harold's point is really well taken. You have to ask yourself, in the city of New York, the biggest, I would say, most important city in the country in many ways, given what happens here, who do you want standing on that line? Who do you want standing next to those police officers who are at attention as they watch the body of one of their own walk by? Is it this young man who said, we don't need an investigation to know that the NYPD is a racist, anti-queer, major threat to public safety? Not just I don't like them. He thinks they're the violent problem of the country. And then he said clearly, what we need is to defund the NYPD. And you know what will happen, as I've heard from a number of people in the NYPD, they love this city, but they will not work under him. They will leave. They will resign. They're already resigning. A lot of them have hit their 20-year period, and they're leaving anyway. A lot more of them are likely to resign if indeed he is in office. And I just find it so disingenuous. Two things. When he said, oh, I just said that stuff because it was George Floyd. Okay, so which one are you?
Yeah.
So what's going to happen a year from now that's going to make you say the same kind of stuff because you're just floating around with the wind and you haven't the wisdom to figure out who you are? And that's a problem. That's fine. Take your time, figure it out. But you have to have the wisdom of a little bit of experience to figure out who you are. But he says, well, I'm really famous now. I'm well known. I'm in a position where I need to have armed men outside my wedding. So unfortunately, that's just the way life is for me now.
Yeah. Kennedy, I think what depresses me is that when you look at the states of every blue city, LA, Minneapolis, Chicago, Portland, Seattle, they're all one-party sanctuaries for lefties. It's going to happen. Like, why can't other cities look at these cities and go, we can't do that. We can't do that. But they're going to do it because this guy is bad, if not worse, than Chicago's mayor.
I mean, we've had a bad mayor. One mayor ago, Bill de Blasio, and everyone thought that, this is as bad as it gets. And, I've said this a few times, compared to what Mom Donnie will be, not what he could be, because this is not theoretical. He has telegraphed exactly what he wants to do with the city. And if his policies take hold, he will run it into the ground. He will make de Blasio look like Rudy Giuliani. And, this is the bad kind of transformational because, we always talk about the pendulum swinging and the transformational candidates who come in. But he makes this place so dangerous. To Martha's point, you can't have cops who know that their mayor doesn't just distrust them. And that was the case with de Blasio. He has active disdain for them. And he is running against his own record, just like Kamala Harris did. We're going to talk about her in a little bit. And he doesn't have that much of a record to run on. Unfortunately, it's not just a few things he said. He betrayed his political philosophy, which is, he said that we have to defund the police because without queer liberation, you can't have a police department. It's like, what does that even mean? You know, and he's up against, this is a very emotional time for families who have lost NYPD members, because the NYPD Brotherhood, they will never forget what he has said. And the sisters, the mothers, and the widows of the slain officers, they will never forgive what he has said and his actions.
Yeah, you know, and Jesse, he still wants to replace police with social workers when dealing with like violent protests, which is basically saying continue protesting. There is no disincentive to being violent.
Yeah, and social workers, they work for the state, so they're not very well paid. So it's like the worst type of therapy you could possibly get. It's not like the type you see, Greg. I have to disagree with Harold. Harold says you really can change your mind on stuff. I changed my mind on iced coffee. I used to think it was water, and then I had it like a cold brew on a hot summer day, and now I like iced coffee. Defunding the police is a lot different than that. That is fundamental. He's changing his mind on fundamental, critical things that are the pillars of civilization. We have a clip of him saying prisons are obsolete. He wants to abolish prisons. We have a tweet of him saying that we should get rid of all guns. So he wants to destroy the Second Amendment, the border, capitalism, prisons, and the police. These aren't new ideas. These aren't creative ideas. These are the same dumb Marxist ideas that we've been hearing for decades. And it's just destruction. And at a certain point, you have to think, democracy is not a suicide pact, right? We're just not going to allow a faction of radicals in a great city like this to come in, elect a guy, and have it destroyed. What kind of democracy is that? It's not tolerable to do that. This guy is now running like Kamala Harris with a beard. All the crazy stuff he said, he's like, you know what? Never mind. You can't allow that. We won the Cold War, but then Marxism survived, and these teachers at universities got bolder. They kept teaching it. So you have unchecked immigration, and you have unchecked indoctrination, and you spit them all out into Manhattan, and they vote for a communist who wants to destroy the city, and we're supposed to sit back and let it happen? I don't think that's a very good idea. I think we have to bring back Joe McCarthy. And you're that guy. I am nominating you as the new Joe McCarthy, Greg.
Let me just.
Why me? I'm more like Charlie McCarthy.
Let me just make clear. I'm not supporting the young man, number one. Number two, I think people can change as long as your change is not based on ambition, but is based on authenticity. President Trump was pro-choice when I met him. He's now pro-life. J.D. Vance called him a terrible name. J.D. Vance said, I learned that he was not that person. He came around. I believe that people can change. But what I was not convinced by was what Mandami said the other day. And that's where you and I agree. But don't put me in the camp.
Do you like iced coffee, Harold?
Never have. I've tried it. I don't know how you switch your mind on that, but we'll talk about that in the break.
Okay.
That's just, look, this is how Americans, whether you are on the left or on the right, this is how you should have a debate, okay? This is how you should debate the issues that you feel in your heart that needs change in America. Smile, converse with your neighbors, all right? Your neighbors could be Democrat or Republicans, okay? So, like, stop making it you versus me, all right? Your neighbors are Americans. They just happen to be on a different party because it's a two-party system. So if everybody just logically actually realize that we are all on the same ship, okay? If it sinks, the whole ship sinks. It's not, oh, Republicans are ship sinking or Democrat are sinking. No. All right? So whether you're a Democrat or Republican, I'll say it one more time, it is Team America. All right? Some people don't like it, but that's the facts. All right? Here we go. Nancy Pelosi, yo.
There's no point in saying good morning because it certainly is not one.
Wow.
Oh, man.
We went from the Dunkin' Donuts guy to that sunshine. Anyway, that might be exactly how Nancy Pelosi feels after this one. Legislation efforts are underway to pass the Pelosi Act. It's aimed to bar members of Congress and their spouses from stock trading while in office and getting filthy rich like she and her husband did. That wouldn't make the former speaker and her husband, Paul, too happy, as you might imagine. They're estimated to have seriously cashed in with their stock deals since she's been in Congress. So much so that there are even social media accounts that try to track their moves. Now, Trump is calling for an investigation into the Pelosi's over insider trading, which means we may soon be able to get a peek inside the Pelosi family earnings sheet. Republican Senator Josh Hawley sided with Democrats to block a review of the anti-stock trading bill. The president's not happy about that, calling him a second-tier senator. Ouch. Hawley's a Democrat. Here's Hawley's response, a Republican. Here's Hawley's response last night on primetime.
This bill will cover not only her, it will cover her husband. And the point is, we need to make it illegal for people to do this kind of thing. 86% of Americans look at stock trading by members of the Congress and they say, we ought to ban that. They can't believe it's not been banned already. Nobody should be up in Congress making a quick buck day trading when they should be doing the people's business. The president wants a stock trading ban. I want a stock trading ban. It's time to get it done.
I can't believe we don't already have one. Anyway, Nancy Pelosi was asked about this, and President Trump accused her of insider trading on CNN. Safe to say she was less than thrilled.
Let me just read what he said. I'm sorry that we had some sort of technical issue. Nancy Pelosi became rich.
Why do you have to read that? We're here to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid. That's what I agreed to come to talk about.
Yeah, but I wanted
what that means in the election.
I wanted to give you a chance just to respond. He accused you of insider trading. What's your response to that?
That's ridiculous. In fact, I very much support the stop the trading of members of Congress. Not that I think anybody's doing anything wrong. If they are prosecuted and they go to jail. But because of the confidence it instills in the American people, don't worry about this.
Kamala Harris wants her word salad back. All right.
Well, she's got to defend this. I mean, she's been doing it for decades, so of course she's not going to be the person who's going to say this is good reform. It's tricky, though. I'm all for banning members.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. That was Nancy Pelosi. And of course, now Congress is trying to pass the Pelosi Act. But I just got to read this to you guys. So Nancy Pelosi annual salary as a member of Congress is $174,000. $174,000. And it says here she previously earned a higher salary of $223,500 annually while serving as Speaker of the House. So now she's not the Speaker of the House. Her salary is $174,000. And ladies and gentlemen, guess what her net worth is? As of early mid 2025, which is where we are right now because it's July, okay? It's July, all right. Her net worth is between $246.8 million and $259 million. Yeah. Hey. And her husband, well, both of them, Nancy and Paul Pelosi, together could be as high as $413 million. With the salary you just heard, how did she amass or accumulate all of this wealth of $246.8 million? That's like that's a $250 million. $250 million. $250 million, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I'm running for Congress, man.
members of Congress and their spouses and the president and the vice president and cabinet secretaries from engaging in stock trades.
While they're in office.
Sense, while they're in office. The tricky part comes, what happens if you own a college savings account for your kid? A 529.
But that's not what we're talking about here.
Well, it depends on how you define what stock trading means, because there are stocks in mutual funds that could be in a 529 or in a 401k, things you don't tap for decades.
Well, can't there be carve-outs?
Legislating here is tricky, but the broad principle is 100% right. Members of Congress should not be able to flip stocks, get inside information, sell equities. If they're going to hold them, make them hold them for 10 years, 15, 20 years, so you can't trade.
Oh my gosh, I think we agree on something. Like I looked across the couch and you were nodding at me. Yeah, there can be carve-outs. A 529 is so specific. I know because I have a kid going into college in the fall. It's so specific. You're not going to get rich off a 529. But yeah, if you want to still contribute, maybe there can be a carve-out in that. But President Trump is right about this, and so is Josh Hawley of Missouri. I mean, you can't be making a buck while you're in office.
Right, but President Trump is in a
That's
little bit
not
of a
a buck.
difficult position on
That
this.
is
He came
not
out
a
so
buck.
hard. I mean, you
That
read
is
the
a
quote
fortune.
about Josh Hawley
Okay?
against Hawley
That is wealth.
For helping Democrats advance this bill. I mean, Republicans are not supportive of this bill as it stands right now. Donald Trump,
But you like it, which was my point to begin with.
Exactly. No, of course. I don't know how this already isn't banned. But the headlines this morning are that President Trump criticizes Republican senator because Trump is concerned that presidents and vice presidents aren't exempt from it. Now, this wouldn't take effect till after Trump was out of office, so it would not affect Donald Trump, a point Josh Hawley keeps making over and over again. But it just, the headline doesn't look good. President Trump doesn't like bill because president not exempted.
But it should apply to President Trump and to the vice president and to cabinet secretary.
Of course it should.
And frankly, I'd say White House staff.
Of course,
if you're
absolutely.
in a position of power, you should not be
Absolutely.
in a position to trade on that power and make money.
Totally agree with you, Ari. Absolutely.
And I think that President Trump wanted the review and investigation of Nancy Pelosi, and then Josh Hawley voting in the way that he did prevented that from happening. So that could also be the reason why he's coming out against Josh Hawley. She says, Nancy Pelosi, now that she supports this bill. Of course she does, only after her husband made millions, whether by luck or brilliance in trading or something else, right? So it's easy to say now. The New York Post rightly points out that the onus is on the Pelosis to make sure that everybody knows that nothing nefarious happens.
Do you think they'll do that?
Wait, why isn't the onus on Trump?
And
Pelosi's not Democratic leader anymore. Why is the onus on Pelosi?
Here's why the onus is on Nancy Pelosi, because from 2007 to 2020, Paul Pelosi raked in as much as $30.4 million from trades in Facebook, Google, Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft, even as rumors flew that Nancy Pelosi was slow-walking efforts to regulate these firms. There is an X account and an app dedicated to Paul Pelosi's trades so that people can follow them and make those trades as well.
Mimic them.
So that is probably why the onus would be on.
So I want to be clear on something you said, though, because that was an interesting thing.
Oh, what's the account? Somebody tell me what it is so I can go
stop looking in
do the same thing
to
they're
what
doing.
the Pelosi's did with an investigation, because Josh Hawley jumps up and says, I'm going to vote with Democrats to get this, to get all of that trading blocked. So it protected her, and that's why President Trump is not too happy about it, because now we'll never really know, and we'll have to depend on the Pelosi's to tell us the truth about whether or not they did anything
reading of that.
shady.
Do you know how many rich Republicans there are in Congress, too? Like, we're talking about Pelosi. I know why we are, because she's political lightning rod. But, like, there are a lot of very rich Republicans who make a lot of money off of stock trading. I can name a bunch of them. So they should all, none of them should
so
be allowed
that's
to.
why Josh Hawley is right when he says, I can't believe that this law hasn't already passed.
Correct.
Right. And
That's
I think what I see here is that there's an analog to this, what's being proposed for everyone that already works in finances, right? And so the point is not necessarily power or its influence, you could argue, but it's more so it's the information. And so the point is that if there's an analog to this that prevents people who know what's going to happen in the future, they know that on Monday this is going to come out, which will boost stock prices or lower them, so they are prevented from trading. Why then wouldn't there be this analog in place? Because all of these Congress people have that insight. That's the point. Those tracker apps, they outperform the market every time considerably. And when you couple that with the knowledge that Pelosi and her like are sitting and making decisions about regulation and having direct influence on the course of business in these financial companies or companies in general, that's a huge red flag and an obvious opportunity for there to be complete muddied water. So I see that there's an absolute way that you can say, while you're an active congressperson, you don't actively trade. If you're a passive investor in funds, of course, right? And they, believe me, the attorneys can draw up the papers where it protects the family's investments, but pauses the active investment for the time when you're serving. And look, if public service is your thing, then I think you would gladly take that sacrifice, knowing that all you have to do is invest in the Pelosi fund and you'll still outperform the market.
Well, there's a bigger issue here, and we live in an era in which people have lost respect for institutions that are vital to American success and mission: the church, the military, the Supreme Court, Congress. One of the ways to help restore that for Congress is to pass this. People should not suspect members are dealing like this.
Yeah, that's right. Good point.
Well, and if the Pelosi's are getting a little, cover by this passing, then let's see a negotiation on that. Then they have to come clean. They do. I mean, that they can't skirt this. I think, based on what you said, they can't just skirt this because
pass the law, make her disclose.
Yeah, there you go.
Two different tracks.
You did it.
Into them. Yeah. So
all right.
We'll learn.
Okay, so like if you go on Google and put in Nancy Pelosi stock tracker, it's going to show you so many different articles about tracking Nancy Pelosi's, trade. And that's just wild. She's known for making good, actually, excelente, okay? Excellent picks, okay? She picks the best companies, and as soon as she picks them, they do tremendously great in like days afterwards. Who knows? I'm not saying anything. All right, here we go. George Soros.
Senior White House correspondent Peter Doocy is live from the briefing room. Peter, what can we expect to hear this afternoon?
Well, this is something that this president wants to talk a lot about. And this is going to be the first briefing since the president ordered these documents declassified that show Hillary Clinton herself in 2016 may have personally been involved, or at least personally blessed her team going forward with the Russia collusion narrative. So expect Caroline Leavitt to have something very strong to say about that off the top. Of course, we also have this issue of tariffs. We learned a few minutes ago that there's going to be a 90-day delay for negotiations with Mexico because apparently things are just so complicated with the border right now. And we know that China has a deadline until August 12th. Scott Besson said this morning that they're making progress, but it's going slowly. Everybody else, though, has until midnight. And so based on what President Trump has been putting out publicly and what we've been hearing, he has been working the phone a lot with his trade negotiator, Jameson Greer, and they are trying to figure this all out up until the very last minute. Probably a late night here in the West Wing. Also, we would expect, this is the first briefing since this whole thing with American Eagle jeans blew up. I believe that the White House is going to have something to say about this Sydney Sweeney ad campaign dust up, even though President Trump has not been seen in jeans or any kind of denim in decades. Back to you.
Peter Doocy, live for us in the White House. In the briefing room. Peter,
yeah.
U.S. customer is the greatest buyer in the world, and Donald Trump understands how to harness that customer and show that customer to everybody and say, if you want to play in our sandbox, you've been treating us badly for years, come on and play.
That, of course, is the Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick on President Trump's America First economy. We could learn more about the president's looming deadline for these trade deals as we await that White House briefing. Charles Payne, host of Making Money on Fox Business. Jamie Dimon just gave an interview on the tariffs. He's saying so far so good. The trade deals have been coming in. The stock market's been all-time highs. I mean, this is a White House that clearly feels like and has been showing that they feel like they are leading on these issues.
They are leading on these issues, and I don't think anyone can deny that, right? I think the key, though, is how do we continue to lead? And I think this is the most important thing here. For instance, the GDP report. The headline was phenomenal, 3%, but there's nuances to it. The real GDP number, more like 1.2%. Incrementally, sequentially, it's starting to slow a little bit. And that's, I think, the central issue with respect to the Federal Reserve. Their policies are in place to tamp down on the economy. That's what they're trying to do. But they have to be very careful that they don't take this amazing lead that we have and tamp down, because there's there's a big portion, the majority of this economy, people are still living paycheck to paycheck.
It's interesting to talk about the headline there. The White House briefs as Trump trade deadline approaches, Charles. It seems to me like when it comes to tariffs that Trump has enough of the big players in the bank to be able to stand firm on the rest of them.
Absolutely. The EU is a huge, the unmitigated, even the most severe cases of TD, was it Trump derangement syndrome? Even they snapped out of it for a minute. Golly, he got one. And then they went back to talk about something. Mexico, the pause today, that was big. Canada, they're negotiating. Maybe they go up on August 1st. And we always knew China would be last. But the EU was a huge stroke. South Korea last night. He's got a lot of these in the bank. What I think here's the most important thing, I think, and Sandra, it alludes to it goes back to what you're saying with the stock market and the economy. When this whole thing started, Wall Street was saying, okay, maybe we end up at 10%. If Trump would have come out and said, we want to do 20% on Japan at the very beginning, Wall Street would have said, it will never work. The market's going to crash. Instead, you start crazy high with these numbers, the reciprocal numbers that blow everyone away. And you settle at numbers, though, that would have been unacceptable to those countries and Wall Street just a few months ago. Instead, everyone's applauding them.
Yeah.
It's an interesting way to look at it.
It's called Art of the Deal. I'll send you a copy.
There you go.
I know you have one. It's probably all rabbit ear. You haven't looked at it in a while.
Oh, so as far as the Federal Reserve is concerned, because they're looking at, and cover the Wall Street Journal today, economy returns to growth. To your point, there are enough economic stats out there that say things are shaping up and they are looking pretty good. President Trump, however, he took to Jerome Powell again in that tweet this morning. He did not mince words when he went after Powell for not lowering interest rates. So why not remove him? I mean, the president can put somebody else in that chair. Kevin Hassett joined us yesterday, and he is a top contender for that role. We asked him about it. Listen. So, do you want the job?
Well, first I want to say that it's not an apprentice-style contest. The president is going to go through an orderly search process led by Secretary Bessent, Kevin Warsh.
If you were the Federal Reserve Chair and you were in that decision-making position at 2 o'clock, what would you do? If I were managing a meeting, I'd ask everybody to talk about, well, why are we now like the big outlier on earth at interest rates? What is it that makes you think that that's what we ought to do? He compared our monetary policy to what's happened all over the world, and we're just not keeping up. So.
There's a inflation surprise index around the world, and our inflation surprises have dropped. We have the lowest inflation surprises of any nation on the planet. And so inflation has been moving in the right direction. Again, what I'm more concerned about, particularly with aggregate data, you got to be very careful with aggregate data because it's misleading. Wealthy folks in this country are doing so extraordinarily well that they can mask, and they have been masking, middle-class people who are struggling. And again, if the Fed wants to be restrictive, they want to keep the vice grip on this economy. Those who are paying the price for it are already paying the price. Their credit card bills have already gone up. Their delinquencies have already gone up. And all you're doing is squeezing them even more. Home ownership. Fading. It's a fading dream. You're squeezing that part of the economy more and more, and we're going to wait. I hope we don't have to wait for rich people, to say ouch, because that may mean the rest of the nation, the other 70% of this country, is buried.
You've been on that for a long time now.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of fascinates me because the Axios headline this morning was Trump claims the economy for better or worse, goes on to say there are signs the economy is weakening. I mean, everybody is trying to knock down this economy or caveat the economy in some capacity. It gets harder and harder as the numbers improve.
Yeah, again, the GDP number is made up of several components, right? And we know the import-export is really was skewed. Initially, businesses are trying to get ahead of the tariffs, and then, we saw the biggest decline in imports in history over the last couple of months. So those things are skewed. You got to knock that noise out. I think you listen to the people out there, and most Americans will tell you, listen, things could be better, right? And so why do we need to make it worse before the Federal Reserve sees the light? They've got more PhDs than any agency in this country. They have to know. They have to understand the nuances of what's happening in this economy. And if you look at the stuff they're afraid of this morning, for instance, we had personal income and consumption. We had some, areas where people were buying things. Maybe you could see some clothing, for instance, maybe some inflation there. But look at autos. The sales were down dramatically. Yeah. And that means that, no, you can't willy-nilly pass on costs. Otherwise, GM wouldn't be losing $1 billion. Ford wouldn't be losing $1 billion.
All fair points. Charles, are you a buy on the stock market at these levels, by the way? We're still near record highs.
I'm an individual stock buyer, and I think the fourth industrial revolution, if you're not buying these names, look at Meta today, look at Microsoft today, look at Roblox today, look at this market, look at the names that are going to shape our lives for the next decade. It's a shame. If you don't own them, you're making a huge mistake. There won't be another window like this for another 50 to 100 years.
Got it. Charles, good to see you.
Stock market is going bonkers. Bonkers, ladies and gentlemen. All right, here we go. The OG, the 45th, now the 47th. Legendary. Here we go.
Nice to see you. How are you?
Triple H.
We have a lot of athletic talent.
Triple H.
And great people behind me.
Triple H in the building.
We're going to do some very important things for our country. Nobody knows LT, right? LT, greatest ever. Lawrence Taylor. You look good. You could play right now, I think, LT. You only look that way. Well, I'm delighted to be here with some of the truly great sports legends of all time as we formally announce the newest members of the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. This is an important step in our mission to make America healthy again. It's something that's very important, what we're doing, very important. Dating back to the administration of President Dwight D. Eisenhower, this council has championed the vigor and strength and vitality of the American people. Today, we continue that very proud tradition. This group is led by two-time major champion and one of the greatest players in the world, one of the highest ranked, and he just had a phenomenal Open Championship, as you probably saw, shooting one round that wasn't so good, and then he came back with about a 65 or something. He was getting a birdie on every hole. They were worried he might not make the cut, and he made the cut by about 200 strokes. It was pretty amazing, and he had a great week, actually. And he's also the longest hitter of a golf ball, I think ever, but, you know, they say ever. I would say ever. And the longest in the world today, and it's Bryson DeChambeau. He's a great guy, been my friend for a long time. And from his storied amateur career, where he won the U.S. Amateur, I think once or twice. Did you win it?
It was once, and then the NCAAs as well.
Okay, you won a lot of other championships, but U.S. Amateur champion. And then, as you know, he won at Winged Foot, won the U.S. Open in Pinehurst. And Bryson has always been a phenomenal ambassador to sports and to golf, but generally to life, in my opinion. He's a smart guy and a good guy, great guy, loves our country. We're also pleased to be joined by Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. Bobby, you do a great job. He's got some big things happening, and he's got some big statements to be made very shortly in terms of over the next few months in terms of what they've been doing and finding answers to some very, very important questions. Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, who's phenomenal, wherever you may be, Linda. Hi, Linda. What are you doing back there? And look, you've been reading about her exploits and the job that she's been doing, and we're very proud of her. Council Executive Director, Catherine Granito. Thank you very much. Thank you. Great job. And several other new members of the council, including J.D. is here, our fantastic vice president, and Scott Bessent, and we're making a lot of deals. We're making deals for trillions and trillions. Nobody's ever seen anything quite like it. We just made a couple of others a little while ago. I don't know if you'd be interested right now. I won't even bother telling you. This is about sports and about health. One of the best defensive players ever, I think probably acknowledged to be the greatest defensive player in the history of the NFL, a friend of mine for a long time. Too long, right, Lawrence? Lawrence Taylor, he's an incredible guy. And just been my friend a long time, haven't we? Huh? Knew him forever. One of the most accurate kickers in NFL history, a young guy still. He can kick it long. I think I guess he's considered the best there is in the business, Harrison Butker. So, Harrison, where are you, Harrison? He's a handsome guy, by the way. It's usually not my thing, but he is a good-looking sucker. One of the truly greatest golfers ever to play on the LPGA Tour. A lot of people say the greatest female player ever, and a lot of people would say just one of the best players ever. She's phenomenal. I've played a lot of golf with Annika Sorenstam, and she's amazing. Just had an really storied career. Hall of Famer, by easily a Hall of Famer, by the way, right at the top of the list. So it's great to have you with us, Annika, and say hello to the family. And then she was here not so long ago with Gary Player, where she got the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and so did he. He's won 168 tournaments and 18 majors, 9 and 9, and she's the same in terms of the women's game. But that was a great time. It was a great honor to give it to you. You really deserved it. It's the highest medal you can get outside of the Congressional Medal of Honor. That's the military version, and the other is the Presidential Medal, and you got it. So thank you very much. 14-time WWE World Champion, and he's a man who you're not going to mess around with. Even Bryson said, I think I'll take a pass on him, right? You're going to take. And he's another one who's been my friend for a long time. He's really an amazing athlete. Triple H. Here he is. Oh, that's still very strong. He's a strong guy. And it's great to have you. And you felt very strongly about this, about the council. 100%. Yep. Well, it's a great honor to have you. Offensive lineman, NFL, very respected, very smart. Cody Campbell. Thank you, Cody, very much. Thank you very much. In addition to the people here, we have other council members that want to just pay their respects. One of the greatest players and athletes ever. You could say, when you look at records, there's probably nothing like it. Tiger and Jack. This is Jack. Tiger was here not so long ago getting the Presidential Medal of Freedom also. He's a fantastic guy. And on the council, we have Jack Nicklaus, and he sends his regards. We have Gary Player, one of the greats. Nellie Corder, who's a phenomenal young, I think you'd say great young player. Annika, right? She's a fantastic person, too. NFL icons, Tony Romo, also a great football player. Quarterback, also a great golfer. Nick Bosa, who's, you know him, he's a modern-day version of Lawrence. What do you think? He's pretty good, right, Lawrence? Pretty good. He is. Saquon Barkley was on the council. And Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback, who is really, he's been fantastic. He's been, when he's not injured, he's great. He's got to stay healthy, but he's a great guy. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell is on the commission. NFL Commissioner Gary Bettman, and the great one Wayne Gretzky is on, and a man who also received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, Mariano Rivera. And when I looked at his record, it was unbelievable. The Sandman, my wife said, why do they keep playing the Sandman when he walks in? And I said, because he just puts the batter to sleep. He was great. When you look at his record compared to second, and Raleigh Fingers was great, and he was really great. But when you look at the record, boy, Mariano had a record. I've never seen anything like it. He was so high up. The order that I'll sign today in a few moments directs the council to develop strategies to improve America's physical fitness and renew the American spirit, excellence, competitiveness, and sportsmanship. To that end, I'm pleased to announce that we're officially restoring the Presidential Fitness Test and the Presidential Fitness Award, and it's going to be a very big thing. From the late 1950s until the 2013, graduate scholars all across our country competed against each other in the Presidential Fitness Test, and it was a big deal. This was a wonderful tradition, and we're bringing it back. I think Bryson and everybody here wanted to see if we could bring that back, and it's turned out to be very popular to do. My administration's also pressing forward with the important reforms in sports and athletics, and the group behind me and the others that I mentioned and others that I've asked to join. We have many great athletes I've asked to join the council, and we're going to let some of them come in. But they're going to also be working on college football in terms of what happened. It's a mess. What happened? It's what they're doing with college football, and the fans are upset about it, and players are being taken from team after team, and being traded around like playing cards. And a lot of money's passing and nobody knows what's happening. So these people behind me are going to be very much involved in figuring that whole thing out and working on it and trying to bring some sanity to that incredible, not only the football, college sports, very, very bad for women. Very bad what's happening, because now all of a sudden there's no women that are able to get the money that they're talking about. You know, it seems to be going mostly to football, some basketball, and women's sports are being totally decimated. We know that, Annika, you know, with this. It's all going into football and some to basketball, and everything else is being left behind. And women are being left behind, and lesser sports are being left behind, and the Olympics is being decimated because that was like training for the Olympics, and now we're not going to have that many of those sports left. The smaller sports, they're almost going to be completely wiped out. This is crazy what's going on. We banned men from competing in women's sports, and last week the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee announced that they will be complying with that order, so there won't be men playing in women's sports. That seemed like an easy one. They say it's an 80-20 issue during the campaign. I said, no, that's not 80-20. That's 97-3. Maybe it's 98-2, perhaps. And last Thursday, we terminated third-party pay-for-play schemes in collegiate athletics and effectively saving. We saved college sports, but now we have to make it. We have to heal it, because it's really a mess. It's a real mess. This council will play an important role in shaping these new policies and ensuring that we preserve the American athletic tradition for many generations to come. And in the years ahead, we'll have the chance to showcase our nation's athletic dominance in the world stage as we host the America 250. So we have America 250, and we have, it's going to be incredible, the Patriot Games. But we have the Ryder Cup, we have the President's Cup, we have the 2026 FIFA World Cup. So we have the World Cup here, we have the 2028 Olympics. So when they cheated on the election and they picked somebody that wasn't supposed to be there, I was very upset before that, because I got the Olympics and I got the World Cup. I was the one that did it. I can't say I got America 250. It just happened to be 200. I'd like to take credit for that, but I don't think I'll be able to. But we have a big thing coming up. But I was very upset because I got them, and it was skipped an election season. And so it took place in the next term, after the term that we were supposed to have. And I was extremely angry. And then when I won, I said, wait a minute, I think I just picked up the Olympics and I just picked up the World Cup. So it worked out sort of cool. But I want to again, thank everybody in the council. They want to work, too. These are people that really, we only do it by request. And people, they want to work and they want to make things better. And I hope they can make college sports better. They can heal it. They can find a solution. It's not going to be that easy. But you have a lot of smart people. So I'd like to begin by introducing Bryson to say a few words. And then we'll have Triple H, and we'll have a couple of other people say something. And then I'm going to sign that good-looking couple of pieces of paper. And it means a lot. It's going to be a very important council. And thank you all for being here. Bryson, please.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. And first off, I'd like to say thank you to President Trump and Vice President Vance for your support and this initiative and council. And to be honest, I never would have thought that this opportunity would have been here right at our doorstep. We have an opportunity at being the 70th anniversary of the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition to literally change the fabric of kids' lives. And our first initiative is to bring back and reignite the President's Fitness Test, and then also reestablish some key other metrics on guidelines around building some communities, and also, again, with the President's initiatives around college, we think we can help in that regard too. But we've got a great established council with us that we believe we can change the fabric of our communities and kids' livelihoods for the future generations that are to come. I can't thank you guys enough, and looking forward to making massive changes in kids' lives and in our America's future. Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
First of all, I'd like to say the same. Thank you to President Trump. Thank you for this honor. I'm humbled by it. I'm truly honored to be on this. Vice President Vance, thank you very much. Secretary Kennedy, truly appreciate all that everybody is doing for the health and wellness of the entire country. For me, since I was 14, this has been such an important part of my life. Health, fitness, sports, nutrition, all of it. I think learning that at a young age sets you up for success in life. And without it, you're at a lesser place for it. So I look forward to the opportunity to do this. I look forward to the opportunity to help make our youth healthy, help get them engaged in sports, and let them learn what it takes to be successful in life. So thank you very much for the honor. Thank you.
Very much. Thank you. Bobby, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. In December of 1960, a month after he won the election, my uncle, who was about to be president, wrote an article for Sports Illustrated called The Soft American, and he was lamenting the fact that America had prided itself on its beef jerky toughness, and that we were losing that. We were falling behind Europeans, we were falling behind other nations, and he was signaling with that article that he was going to make physical fitness of our kids the centerpiece of his administration. And I'm so grateful to President Trump for bringing back this tradition. I was talking to Paul before we went in here. We were part of the Council on Physical Fitness when we were kids. And you had to do sit-ups, you had to do pull-ups, you had to do shuttle runs, you had to do 1-mile runs. And they awarded the top 15% with a patch and with recognition and with certificates. And for me, it was a huge item of pride when I was growing up. And we need to reinstill that spirit of competition and that spirit and that commitment to nutrition and physical fitness. And I'm so grateful to President Trump for your leadership in bringing this back for our country.
Thank you very much. Anna, representing the great women in sports, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President, Vice President Vance. This is truly an honor. I want to thank the team behind me here for giving us trust to be able to do this. Sport has always been part of my life, and the importance of living a healthy, active lifestyle is cannot be any more important than nowadays. So thank you for the trust, and I can't wait to get to work to make a difference in kids' lives, but also in people's lives. I think the time is so important. Obesity is the highest it's ever been. Mental health, as we all know, the need ought to be tackled. So thank you for the trust, and look forward to going to work with the team behind me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Donna. Lawrence, you want to say a few words? Come on up. Come on. He's a little shy, but once he gets going, nobody can stop.
Oh, no, don't stop. I'm just proud to be on this team. I don't know why. I don't know what we're supposed to be doing, but I'm here to serve, and I'm here to serve you. Okay, so I'm going to do the best I can for as long as I can. Thank you very much.
Nobody like him. Come on, young superstar.
Obviously very excited to be here. Thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me to serve on the council. Just excited to do my part to help make America healthy again, to help our youth be healthy and thrive and grow up and be great citizens of this country and be great family members and contribute to this great country. And I think you have to be strong in mind, in body, and soul. So thank you so much for allowing me to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. JD?
Okay, sure, sir. Well, thank you all, and thanks to the president for setting up this important commission. Thanks to all the great athletes for lending their credibility to it. I think all of us who have young kids at home just know that kids are healthier, they're happier, they do better when they're out there, they're being active, they're playing in sports, they're hanging out with their friends. I think all of us have thought at one point in the last few years that kids spend a little too much time on their phones, maybe a little bit too much time in front of the TV, and we just want kids to do better. We want them to be healthier, we want them to be happier, and we know that getting out there, playing in sports, and being active and healthy and physically fit is a critical part of this. So all due credit to the President and Secretary Kennedy's leadership. This is all about just making our kids better citizens, better people, and happier in their daily lives. And I think this is a great team to get it accomplished. Thank you, sir.
Okay, let's sign this. Linda, come on. We'll sign this for Linda. She's doing pretty well, right? Linda's amazing. Good job. Okay, we got it. I think we're good. We'll pass them around, I guess. Okay, here you go.
Thank you.
Okay. That is not signed with an auto pen. There's no auto pen. We don't want auto pens in the White House. Okay? Any questions, please? About it? I think probably.
Mr. President, what has sports meant to you? And did you have a sports hero growing up?
Maybe Lawrence Taylor. I don't know. It could be Lawrence. Or I know him so well. Well, a lot of sports heroes. It meant a lot. I was always a person that loved playing sports. I was good at sports. When you were really focused on sports, you thought about nothing else. There was nothing else outside. It kept you. And to an extent, this is one of the reasons I like golf. You get away for a couple of hours. I play quickly and get through it. And for 2 hours, you're not thinking about all of the nonsense and all of the important things, frankly, but it cleans your mind. No, I think sports is so important. I think what this council is doing is going to be very important. And it gives you a little exercise, sometimes a lot of exercise. It's a great thing. It's a great thing. Sports are, you learn about people and you learn about how people compete. Now, it doesn't mean that if somebody's not a good athlete, a lot of people just are not good athletes, so they can't compete. But you learn about people playing sports and playing sports with and against some. So I've always loved it. It's been very important to me. These people are, inspirations. These are the top people in their individual sports. The council itself, I mean, they have some of the greatest champions, for the most part, the greatest champions in their sport. So they really understand sports, and understanding it's very important. Thank you for the question. Yeah, please. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. President, can you talk about your plans for the new ballroom that was announced today?
Yeah.
And the $200 million, that's going to be paid for by yourself as
By
well
me,
as
yeah.
private donations?
It's a private thing. Yeah, I'll do it, and we'll probably have some donors or whatever, but it's about $200 million. So we've been planning it for a long time. They've wanted a ballroom at the White House for more than 150 years, but there's never been a president that was good at ballrooms. I'm really good. In fact, I looked at one that we just built in Turnberry in Scotland, and it's incredible. We're good at building. I'm good at building things, and we'll get it built quickly and on time. It'll be beautiful, top of the line. We've retained the best architects and engineers, everything else. It'll be built over on the east side, and it will be beautiful. It'll be views of the Washington Monument. It won't interfere with the current building. It'll be near it, but not touching it, and pays total respect to the existing building, which I'm the biggest fan of. It's my favorite place. I love it. But they've wanted it, and when they have big events, you entertain the president of China or the president of any place, and you have big crowds. They've always had to get a tent. And you've probably been to some of them, Bobby. When it rains, it's a disaster. And the tent's 100 yards. That's more than a football field away from the main entrance. And people are schlopping down to the tent. It's not a pretty sight. The women with their lovely evening gowns, all of their hair all done, and they're a mess by the time they get. And they've always wanted to have it. And I said, in the first term, I said, if I get another shot at this, I'm going to do a ballroom. I was pretty busy in the first because I was running the country, and I was also fighting for survival with all of the lunatics I had to beat. But it worked out, obviously, it worked out very well because here we are. But I always said I was going to do something about the ballroom because they should have one. So we'll be leaving it. It'll be a great legacy project, and I think it'll be special. You saw some renderings of the initial. I think it'll be really beautiful.
No government dollars at all.
No government dollars, no.
Week between its executive order
border, trade, Russia, Gaza, but also the family of Virginia Giuffre released a statement overnight in response to some of the comments that you made this week. You said that Jeffrey Epstein stole people from Mar-a-Lago. At the time, did you know why he was taking those young women, including Virginia?
No, I didn't know. I mean, I would figure it was ABC fake news that would ask that question, one of the worst. But no, I don't know really why. But I said, if he's taking anybody from Mar-a-Lago, he's hiring or whatever he's doing. I didn't like it, and we threw him out. We said we don't want him, at the place. This is a story that's been known for many years, as you know. But it's, I didn't like it that he was doing that. Yeah, please.
If Canada moves forward with the Palestinian state,
Say it again.
If Canada moves forward with recognizing the Palestinian state, is that a deal breaker for you?
Well, we're going to see. No, I didn't like what they said, but that's their opinion. I didn't like that. Not a deal breaker, but we haven't spoken to Canada today. He's called, and we'll see. But we have made a few deals today that are excellent deals for the country. We're taking in literally trillions of dollars for the country. This is making our country very rich and respected again. We have, I tell these people, and I say it as much as I have to say it, but every leader is at NATO, and I was in the Middle East with the three great countries, three great leaders, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and everybody said the same thing. All of the NATO countries, essentially, they said that we were a dead country. 1 year ago, we were a dead country. Now we're the hottest country in the world. Look at you people. We're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're doing great. Yeah, do you have a...
Canada currently. What's the holdup with the negotiations with Canada?
Well, they have to pay a fair rate. That's all. It's very simple. They have been charging very, very high tariffs to our farmers, some over 200%. And they've been treating our farmers very badly. They've been treating our country very badly for years. And look, we like Canada. I love Canada. I have so many friends in Canada. But they've been very poorly led. They've been very, very poorly led. And all we want is fairness for our country. That's all. They want to be under the, as we call it, the Golden Dome. And I said, well, you're going to have to pay for that. They want a lot of things from our country, and for years we did it. We basically protect them with our military. They spend very little money on their military, as you know, not an acceptable amount of money. Yeah, please.
Thanks a lot, Mr. President. Your tariffs policy goes into effect tomorrow.
Yeah.
As you know, a federal appellate court today heard oral arguments about whether or not you had the authority to unilaterally impose those tariffs. I'm not going to get you to weigh in on the legal arguments, but you're weighing your decision to do that, your authority to do that, based on a 1977 law. It's never been invoked before. Why didn't you invoke this law?
Well, we've been winning all along.
I just want to ask you, why didn't you invoke this law in your first term? You could have taken in billions upon billions of dollars in your first term, but you waited until your second term.
Yeah, because in my first term, I was fighting lunatics like you who were trying to do things incorrectly and inappropriately to a president that was duly elected. And we did do certain tariffs in the first term. If you look at China, we took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. But when COVID came, the last thing I was going to do is tell France and Italy and Spain and a couple of other countries that we're going to hit you with tariffs. We had to fight the COVID situation when that came. But if you look at my first term, we took in hundreds of billions of dollars worth of tariffs, but you people didn't cover it very well.
Mr. President,
yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much. I'm representing the foreign poll today. I'm asking you two questions on foreign policy. The first one, do you plan to re-engage diplomatically with Iran, go with direct talks with them, or are you happy with the current situation, having no deal with Iran?
Well, Iran has been acting very badly. They were decimated. Their nuclear capability, that potential, which could have happened within 3 or 4 weeks, was decimated. It's been obliterated. The Atomic Energy Commission said the place is just decimated. Now they can start again, but they'd start in different sites because they were hit. I tell you what, the job these pilots did with their B-2 bombers, those unbelievable machines, they traveled 36 hours without stop. And they hit every single target. Every bomb hit they went right down the chutes. And then, as you know, we shot 30 rockets from submarines that were hundreds of miles away, and they hit every target. So they can start again, but they haven't been saying the right thing. I will say Iran has not been saying the right thing. They have not been speaking nicely, and they should be. Yeah, please.
Mr. Powell not lowering interest rates again. Many people say that he's playing politics with the futures of millions.
Well, he is. We call him Too Late. He's Too Late. It's his new nickname. He's Too Late Powell. He's a terrible Federal Reserve Chairman. Not only that, he's building a building. He's at $2.9 billion. It's actually 3.1 if you include other areas that are essentially the same thing. Way over budget, has no idea what he's doing. And I would say he's probably good at that compared to what he does with interest rates. But, you know, we have him there, and it was a mistake. I put him in, and then Biden extended him. And Biden only extended him because he knew I couldn't stand him. And that turned out to be not a good thing for Biden. Although he did lower interest rates just prior to the election, didn't work out too well for them. But he did lower them pretty substantially just prior to the election. No, he's a political hack, not very good. He's not a smart guy, Brian.
Mr. President, sports fans have been very supportive. To go back to the original names of Cleveland Indians, the Washington Redskins.
Oh, I love that. Love the sound of that.
Well,
I do the Washington Redskins. I think they should do it. I told the mayor and I told people that they should bring back the name. If they bring back the name, you'll have a lot of excitement. And I mean, Cleveland Indians, how about that? That was an original franchise, 1903 or something, 1906, an original, the Cleveland Indians. And what do? They changed the name from Indians. What's wrong with the word Indian? You know who is upset about it? The Indians are upset about it. They're upset about Redskins, too. So Redskins, I guess you'd say it was a little bit lesser of a case, but people want to see the Redskins, and the Indians want to see the Redskins back. No, I recommend it. I was asked that question the other day. The Washington Redskins, it's a fabled franchise. And now, I don't even know what the hell their last name is. What are they to Commanders or something? Is it Commanders? It's not a good name.
About President Biden, sir. About President Biden, sir. May I ask you a question?
Wait a minute. No, not you. You.
Mr. President, Kamala Harris, as you know, is not running for governor of California. She's not going to do it. What do you see in her political future, sir?
Well, she can't speak. She can't talk. She can't do an interview. I thought it was a very strange campaign that we had. But, you know, I had two of them. We were up by like this massive number of points on Biden, and they said, let's change to Kamala. Nobody knew who Kamala was. Nobody knew her last name, Harris. They said, we're going to get Vice President Harris. Everyone said, who the hell is Harris? They only knew her by the first name. But no, I thought she was a terrible candidate. Look, don't forget, she didn't really get the nomination. I mean, that whole nomination was strange. She was the first one out. You know, she took a good amount of points with her when she announced, but nobody knew her. And once they got to know her, she dropped out very shortly after she started. And she started with a pretty good, you know, she was like in second or third place. But I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't call her a skilled politician. Would you?
She's also coming out with a book. Any plans to buy it?
I don't know. I think I'm going to buy it. I'd love to see it. No. I'd find it. Look, I find everything in politics interesting. I sort of enjoy politics. She wasn't a skilled person. You know, you have skilled politicians, really skilled politicians, and then you have some that aren't. And she was put in a very tough position, I think. She did have a 6-week honeymoon. They were told me, the pros said, you know what, she's going to have a 6-week. And she did. She was like untouchable in terms of everybody thought great. But she didn't do any interviews or anything, which was strange. Not even friendly interviews with friendly reporters like her right there, a really friendly reporter. And you know what happened? People said, what's wrong with her? Why isn't she doing? She made a mistake. She should have done interviews. She didn't run a great campaign, but we beat Biden, and then we had to beat, nobody's beaten two. I had to beat two. That's like Dana White, the great Dana White has a fight, and he has a fighter that's getting the hell knocked out of him. They say, well, let's take him out and put somebody else in. Didn't seem fair to me at the time, but where are we? We're in the White House. So, I mean, you know, so it worked out.
Very serious question here. Russia today hit Kyiv with missiles and drones, more than 100 people, kids.
I think it's Russia, I think it's disgusting what they're doing. I think it's disgusting. This is Biden's war. It's not my war. But I said if I get in, I'll try and get the thing stopped. But I think what Russia's doing is very sad. A lot of Russians are dying. you have a lot of Russians. More Russians are dying, but Russians are dying. Ukrainians are dying. You know, the United States isn't really involved in that war. It shouldn't be. And by the way, I made a deal with NATO where NATO pays us for everything that we send. We send them ammunition, missiles, etc. And we're not paying anything for that war. But I will tell you this: it should be stopped. It's a disgrace. And the ones that are dying are they're losing 7,000 now. It was 5,000. They're losing now 7,000 soldiers a week, Ukrainian soldiers and Russian soldiers. And they're also losing people now in the towns and cities because Putin's hitting them with rockets. No, I think it's disgraceful.
You have a 10-day deadline. You imposed a 10-day deadline.
Yeah, we have about 8
Does he care about
yeah, we're going to put sanctions. I don't know that sanctions bother him. You know, they know about sanctions. I know better than anybody about sanctions and tariffs and everything else. I don't know if that has any effect, but we're going to do it. Europe is extremely upset. But this is a war that should have never happened. This is a war that wouldn't have happened if I were president. And this is Biden's war. This was a stupid war to get into. Should have never gotten into this war.
Steve Witkoff is traveling to Israel.
Yeah, going to Israel, and then he's going to Russia, believe it or not.
Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has said that what is occurring there is a genocide. Do you agree?
Oh, it's terrible what's occurring there, yeah. It's a terrible thing. People are very hungry. You know, the United States gave $60 million for food, and it's a shame because nobody, you know, I don't see the results of it. And we gave it to people that, in theory, are watching over it fairly closely. We wanted Israel to watch over it. Part of the problem is Hamas is taking the money and they're taking the food. But we gave $60 million a couple of weeks ago. Nobody said anything about it. Nobody said thank you. But I didn't need the thank you. I just wanted the people to get fed. And we're helping out financially with that situation. It's a terrible situation. So just to conclude, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank you for being here. This is a great group of people, and it's a good feeling. You know, when we first came to office, this country was really in trouble, and now we're rich as hell, and we're doing amazing things, and we really are. We're the hottest country in the world, and I like that. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
President, can I ask you about lighting, Mr. President? Can I ask you about lighting?
Of course, the OG, the 45th, and of course the 47th has Triple H, RFK Jr., the Vice President of the United States, Lutnick, and the rest of them up there really talking about making America fit and healthy again. Now, of course, well, maybe not of course, but Joe Biden is back without Jill this time. Okay, Joe Biden. Okay. Joe Biden.
But I never
All right, here we go.
was a sitting senator at the time. Believe we get to this point. So let me say directly.
Vice President of the United States.
Tell all. As far as I'm concerned, you can start deep. What a great honor to be here. By the way, before I begin, I wanted to introduce you to the love of my life and the life of my love. My granddaughter went to Penn and got here in graduate school in art. Where were you sitting, babe? Over there, there's my granddaughter. She's all state in 2 sports. And she's crazy about me. President Adams, thank you for that introduction. And President-elect Ashley Upton, thank you for the next president. Congratulations all on the newly elected leadership, especially James Carter. Thanks, James. Thanks. And, Dominique Calhoun, and all of the other past presidents, including my friend Ben Crump. Thank you for doing all you do. You've always been there for me, Ben. And thank you for honoring me with this award. It's a big deal. You're the reason you got me started, not a joke. I've been doing this and I've been elected office for 52 years now. I know I don't look like I'm 40, but I've been for 52 years. And Mayor Brandon Johnson, Thank you for the welcome back to the city. I've been here many times. It's great to be here with so many friends. In 1929, a few short years after the National Bar Association was founded, one of its members, Lewis L. Reagan, became the first black lawyer admitted to the bar in my home state of Delaware. He also became a personal friend of mine and a truly influential mentor. He cared deeply about the people of his community. Reagan represented plaintiffs in 2 key Delaware cases that challenged the separate but equal doctrine of Delaware public schools. These cases later joined with others to become Brown versus the Board. And Reagan worked on the legal team with Thurgood Marshall to win the landmark Supreme Court cases, leading to desegregation of American public schools. And so, as president, it was truly an honor to invite the family of the late Lewis L. Reagan to the White House and award him posthumously the President's Citizens Medal. Folks, Brown versus Board of Education was fundamentally a case about who we are as a nation. We're the only country in the world founded on an idea. Every other country is based on geography, religion, ethnicity, but we're based on an idea. A sacred proposition rooted in Scripture and enshrined in our Declaration of Independence, that carved into our hearts. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal and deserve to be treated equally throughout their lives. Our Constitution has helped ensure that while we never fully lived up to that, we never walked away from it either. Our Constitution guarantees a set of basic rights to every single American and sets up institutions to safeguard those rights. Next year, we'll celebrate 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. But all that soaring rhetoric are just words on pages if we, the people, don't uphold them. The lawyers and judges, all of you in this room, are the first and the last line of defense doing just that. I mean it. An informed and engaged bar willing to fight for and take risks to protect our basic rights. A bench prepared to recognize those rights and rule consistent with the Constitution. Our courts are meant to be a valid check on the excesses of other branches of government, especially when Congress and our executive overreach and run afoul of our constitutional and institutional safeguards, as they are doing now. You know, we're here marking 100 years since the National Bar Association was founded to support black lawyers, men and women who were excluded from all professional organizations because of the color of their skin, which was flat out unadulterated racism. Much of it has changed since then, thanks to the work of the National Bar Association, and so many of you have fought to make this country live up to its highest ideals because you believe, like we do, in a simple truth, that the soul of the nation is worth fighting for. And the soul defines who we are. I believe that it is as true today as it was in 1925. But not since those tumultuous days in the 1960s has this fight been so existential to who we are as a nation, with marginalized groups so dramatically under attack. As a young man, long before I understood the civil rights movement in a political context, I understood it in a human context. Because of the friendships I made in the black community, being the only employee in the project, my home city of Wilmington, Delaware. I made friends who became like family. As I got older and more engaged, every Sunday I'd go to 7:30 Mass in my own church, and then I'd go to 10 a.m. Mass at church service at AME Church across town. In time, I left for law school. When I came back to Wilmington, to start my career working for a prestigious law firm. That was June of 1968. And as you all remember, Dr. King was assassinated on April 4th of that same year. Riots erupted in Wilmington, Delaware, my state which segregated by law. Riots erupted, causing significant parts of our city to be literally burned to the ground. The governor kept Wilmington under National Guard occupation for 10 long months. The National Guard was on, and I mean this, and let me remember, on every damn corner with drawn bayonet. On every city corner. And historically, it was the longest military operation in any U.S. city since the Civil War. Again, my hometown, Wilmington, Delaware. When all this was happening, I didn't just see the hurt, I felt the pain because of my close friendships in the community. Like many of you in this room, it caused me to get even more involved in the fight of civil rights and basic democracy. So I decided to leave the prestigious law firm I'd been hired by. I walked across the town square to become a public defender. I quit my job. I represented most of the black clients in the east side of Wilmington. In 1970, I was convinced to run for the county council because no Democrat had ever won that seat. Unfortunately, I won. My sister ran my campaign. And the Republicans saw something I didn't see. I was elected in the 70s for a 4-year term, and they reapportioned me to a 2-year term. And since they couldn't find anybody to run for Senate, they asked me to. And I ran for the United States Senate in 72. And I championed legislation to protect civil rights and support marginalized communities. I was then proud to serve as vice president to our first black president, Barack Obama. I was proud to ask Kamala Harris to run with me, to be the first black woman to serve as vice president of the United States. It was important. As president, I made the cause of civil rights and equality the foundation of everything I did. For example, I promised that administration that looked like America, and appoint a bench that looked like America. And I kept my promise. I appointed the most demographically diverse slate of judges ever in the history of the United States of America.
Wait, what did he say right there? What did he say right there?
For example, I promised that administration that looked like America, and appoint a bench that looked like America. And I kept my promise. I appointed the most demographically diverse slate of judges ever in the history of the United States.
Did he say slave judges? What in the world?
For example, I promised that administration that looked like America, and appoint a bench that looked like America. And I kept my promise. I appointed the most demographically diverse slate of judges ever in the history of the United States of America. Top of that is one of the best lawyers I've ever met. Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first black woman on the United States Supreme Court. Justice Jackson, as you witnessed earlier this week, has proven herself to have the wisdom and the character that I saw her when I nominated her. I appointed 13 black women to the Courts of Appeals of the United States Federal Court. More than every other president in American history combined. And there are other stories first as well, for Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, Muslim Americans. By the way, I didn't just appoint Ivy League judges. I appointed many HBCU graduates. How many of you in this room went to the greatest HBCU in America? Delaware State, right? They got me started, man. Senate keeps giving me the honor of being called a Morehouse man. I'm a Delaware State man. Look, my administration understood the importance of HBCUs. That's why, as president, I invested more money in HBCUs than all other presidents in American history combined. It matters. And I appointed a record number of judges with backgrounds and experience that have long been overlooked by the federal judiciary, like public defenders, lawyers representing labor unions, and the rights of immigrants. And by the way, I was the first president to give the National Bar Association a seat at the table in proposing candidates to the federal bench. So a lot of names came from you guys. I mean it. I'm serious. I needed to. I still need to. So thanks, everyone. No matter who these men and women were, or where they came from, I'm sure that all my appointments are committed to the rule of law and are highly qualified. Because I know then what I know now. Judges matter. Courts matter. The law matters. And the Constitution matters. I think a lot of Americans are starting to realize that under the pressure we're under now with this guy we have as president. Oh, get ready, folks. This is just starting. I'm proud I've appointed judges doing their best to be independent, fair, and impartial, respecting the rule of law, and upholding the Constitution. I wish I could say the same for the executive branch. We're seeing doing its best to dismantle the Constitution. Oh, I'm being deadly earnest, man. Which seems to be what's going on. You know, they're doing it all too often with the help of a Congress that's just sitting in the sidelines and enabled by the highest court in the nation. The rulings they made, my God. Folks, in our lives, in the life of our nation, there are moments so stark that they divide all that came before from everything that followed. Moments that force us to confront hard truths about ourselves, our institutions, and democracy itself. We are, in my view, at such a moment in American history, reflected in every cruel executive outreach, every rollback of basic freedoms, every erosion of long-standing established precedent. We see the laws, the law firms, bowing to pressure, begging to bullies, instead of staying rooted in justice and the law, including some of the largest newspapers in America. We see the apparent glee some of our politicians express. That's while watching immigrants who are in this country legally, torn from the arms of their family, dragged away in handcuffs from the only home they've ever known. My friends, we need to face the hard truth of this administration. It has been to ease all the gains we've made in my administration, to erase history rather than make it, to erase fairness, equality, to erase justice itself. And that's not hyperbole, that's a fact. Look, folks, you can't sugarcoat this. These are dark days, but you're all here for the same reason. I left that prestigious law firm in the public defender's office to go to the defender's office years ago. It's because our future is literally on the line. We must be unapologetic of fighting for the future. To paraphrase Frederick Douglass, there is no progress without struggle. And I would add, there is no progress without courage. None. Prior to the Civil Rights Movement, when Dr. King and Rosa Parks and John Lewis and other giants in our history needed a lawyer for their fight for freedom. They called on a guy named Fred Gregg. Let's hear him now. Fred, I don't know where you are, but stand up, man. Fred was one of the most important civil rights lawyers in history. Fred's legal brilliance to segregated schools secured the right to vote for so many. I was honored to invite Fred to the White House and bestow on him the nation's highest honor, the President's Medal of Freedom. Folks, as a reminder that American history from its start has been a constant push and pull, it's a battle that's never over. As my late friend John Lewis used to say, democracy is a state, not an act. Let's remember that in America, the power belongs to the people. And the way to show that power is by voting. We need everybody to vote. We need everybody to count. So let's reach out to family and friends and neighbors. Let's help them register to vote. And let's remind them, without voting, nothing is possible. With voting, everything is possible. Folks, let me close with this. When President Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, he said the following: "This is a proud triumph. Yet those who founded our country knew that freedom would be secure only if each generation fought to renew and embrace its meaning." It's literal. I taught con law for 10 years in law school. I'd always say that. Every generation has obligation to defend it. But I never, even though I was a sitting senator at the time, believed we'd get to this point. So let me say directly with the young lawyers in this room, it's time for you to renew the enlarge this meaning. It's time for you to lead the fight. It is. As you close the chapter on the National Bar's first 100 years and chart a course for the next century, it's not enough to honor the heroes that came before us. We need new heroes now. No, we do. We need you to follow in their footsteps. When I was elected, I had the dubious distinction to be elected the youngest senator in American history and the oldest president in American history. It's hell turning 40 twice. Look, some of your potential candidates for office. And when I got elected as the youngest person, I got elected before I could be sworn in. Everybody, and I beat a really very popular guy. Nixon won my state with 60% of the vote. I won by a rousing 3,200 votes. And they'd say, "What's your secret?" What was the secret? There always had to be some secret. And I always told them the same thing, and I made it from the bottom of my heart. Same thing. You got to know what's worth losing an election over. What are you willing to stand for? What are you willing to fight for? So let me tell you what that means. To all of you here tonight, those just starting out your careers, and those who have been fighting a good fight all your lives. It means take the client who can't write a big check, but needs protecting the basic fundamental rights. It means sign on to that brief that may draw the ire of people in power, but you know it's the right thing to do. It means standing firm against unconstitutional actions designed to intimidate you. It means write the article, give the speech, lead the protest, defend the ideas your country is founded on to protect our institutions, to fight for the soul of the nation. some of the courage, like all those elders here before you did, the people in this room, to commit acts large and small, to bend the arc of the moral universe toward justice, as Dr. King would say. Needs a lot of bending, folks. There's been nothing in the course of our country's history that we haven't been able to accomplish when we stood together, we set our minds to it. We're the only nation in the world with a significant student history that has come out of every crisis we got into stronger than we went in. We have to remember who the hell we are. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity. We do it together. So God bless you all. May God bless the United States of America. We've got a lot of work to do, folks. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
One thing I can tell you is he hasn't changed one bit from last year's summer debate with now the 47th President of the United States. Anyway, as we all know, that is the 46th President of the United States, President Joe Biden. Instead of looking for perfection, seek for consistency. Never give up on yourself. Never give up on your dreams. Never give up on God. Believe in yourself. Believe in your dreams. And believe in Almighty God. God is the greatest. America is the greatest nation on the face of the earth. God made it so. And with that being said, shout out to our esteemed members. Dr. Luke, the GOAT. Thank you. Shout out to Ellie. God bless you. Shout out to Ringmaster. God bless you. Shout out to Sandra. God bless you. Shout out to Ingraham. God bless you. And of course, our moderators, C. Shelley. God bless you. With the good genes. With the good genes. Okay. MVP Jet. How are you doing? Shout out to MVP Jet, man. Shout out to Terry Vinings. The Bama Girl. Rolling Tide. Shout out to Booski, the Bucket Master. Uh-oh. Shout out to Booski, the Bucket Master. Enders. God bless you, Enders. Who else we got? Shout out to CRXR. Shout out to Nick Gibson. God bless you, Nick Gibson. Shout out to Derek. I think I saw Derek in the chat a couple of minutes ago. Shout out to Derek. How are you doing? Shout out to Steve Keith. I don't think I ever gave Steve a shout out ever. So I got to give him a shout out today. Steve. Shout out to you, Steve. Shout out to Johnny 5 and everybody who's tuned in right now. God bless you guys for being here. God is the greatest. Don't forget, be nice to your fellow brothers and sisters. It's not Democrat first. It's not Republicans first. It is America first, okay? It is country before parties. So I got to give law enforcement officers a shout out. Ice baby. Shout out to the veterans. Shout out to the military personnel. Without you guys, there would be no homeland. So yes, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. It is what it is. We're going to be back here tomorrow. I got to be up early because my beauty of a baby has tennis lesson in the morning. So you guys have a wonderful night. God is awesome. All right. God is awesome. All right. Stay strong, stay blessed. And God is your strength. Okay. God is your strength. Never, ever forget that. Okay. No matter what you're going through in life, don't give up, man. Do not give up. I know a lot of people are like, one paycheck away from being homeless or hungry or maybe no food in the fridge. But man, stay strong, man. That's all I can tell y'all. Stay strong. Everybody's going through something, okay? Stay strong. God is your strength. And I love you guys, man. I love you guys so much. Be strong. God loves you. God bless you. God bless America. It is your boy Genesis. You are currently tuned in to the Genesis Show, and I will be seeing you guys soon.